Hi, and welcome to English 112 Basic Composition 2 with Speech. This is Professor Holly Johnson, and we're going to do a presentation on research proposals. Good proposals, bad proposals. You have to write a proposal for your research paper, so let's take a look at a few examples and see what works and what doesn't. Here's Martha's research paper proposal. Her working title is Bill Clinton, America's 43rd President. She also has an introduction, summary, and preliminary thesis. Yours is going to have these sections and also have one called Sources, something she's left out here. Let's look at her introduction. I know that Hillary Clinton might run for president in 2016, and I have always been interested in the Clintons. I was too young to vote when Bill Clinton was elected, but I think he was a good president. Okay. Summary. In my research paper, I will look at the life and times of William Jefferson Clinton. Here's her preliminary thesis. Bill Clinton was America's 43rd president. Although he was caught having an affair, he was influential and constructed numerous policies that have affected U.S. citizens. All right, take in Martha's proposal for a second, then we're going to go to the next slide and talk about it a little bit. So, what do you think of Martha's proposal? Just think about it for a second. What do you really think? Does it look like a good proposal? All right, I'll tell you what I think. I don't think it's going to work, and I'll tell you why. Because at that part where it says preliminary thesis, a thesis is like an argument. And arguing that somebody was the president, that's not really an argument. That's kind of a fact. So here's Min Ting's research proposal. Her working title is called Illegal Immigration and the Mexican Border Wall. And here's her introduction. Although I'm not Mexican, I am an immigrant to this country, and I'm interested in topics that relate to citizenship status. America is proud to be diverse, but it wants to keep out some people. I want to find out why. Here's her summary. My paper will look at the different sides to the issues of illegal immigration in the U.S. and focus particularly on the plan to build a Mexican border wall. After looking at the evidence, I'll formulate a thesis about whether or not the border wall is a good idea and if it seems like it will work. Here's my preliminary thesis. At the moment, I suspect the border wall will not be effective in keeping out Mexicans. I think it may not be a good idea and it may be a waste of money. Here's her source. Looks like wikipedia.org. All right, so take in Min Ting's research paper proposal, and then let's go to the next slide and discuss it. So again, what do you think of this research paper proposal? If you were the professor, would you pass it, give it a good grade? What do you think? In terms of what I think, and I'm the professor, I would say that Min Ting looks like she's going in the right direction. It's definitely a much more thoughtful one than the Bill Clinton paper, and it looks like she really is trying to come up with a preliminary argument. The argument that you have Here's Rodrigo's research paper proposal, and yes, this was one that was really submitted. It's called Prostitutes Need Rights Too. All right, that's the working title. Here's the introduction. There are a lot of hoes in Trenton, and I know then and now and then the cops round them up and arrest them all. They just working girls. I don't think they should be hauled off just for what they do. Here's the summary. I want to write about what I know. Hoes. I know a lot of them, and they're pretty nice mostly. They need more rights. Preliminary thesis. Prostitution should not be illegal, and prostitutes should have a union like other workers so they don't get exploited by their pimps and so they can get sanitary conditions to work in and benefits like hoes in other countries. Sources. I'm going to interview Yolanda, Patrice Coco, and some other girls on my block to find out what about their experiences. And then from EBSCO, Scientific American. This is another one. All right, take in Rodrigo's proposal. A little unusual, but just take it in. Again, we're going to be thinking about what works, what doesn't. Would you pass it? Pass? Why not? Why you would, and so on. So let's go to the next slide and think about this for a sec. Would you pass Rodrigo's research proposal? Guess what? I would. If you go back and look at it, Rodrigo's language for my class is not so good. I don't know why we're using hoes instead of prostitutes. Here's Colby's research paper proposal. It's called Alien Abductions. Here's his introduction. Every year, millions of Americans report Okay, what do we think of Colby's research paper proposal? It's not like the other ones we've seen. Are there things that work and things that don't work? Would you pass it? Well, I wouldn't pass it, and I'll tell you why. He's got a thesis, which is that there are these alien abductions, but really the problem is there's not going to be any way to bring in scientific information to prove it. I don't know if he's right or not. I have no idea. I suspect he's not. But what do I know? That's not the point. In order to write a good research paper, you have to be able to bring in research materials to back it up. And the two sources that he's given us look like biased websites. They don't look like they're going to be really scientific. So, unfortunately, Colby's going to have to find a new topic. So if you find you're reworking your proposal, what areas will you want to focus on? Here's a list. First of all, just like Martha's original one on Bill Clinton, it was kind of a report, not a research paper. A report just gives you facts and information, but doesn't have an argument in it. You have to move beyond writing a report into writing a real research paper. The next thing is have that preliminary thesis, but be willing to shift your position as the facts change. We talked about how Min Ting might find other information that shift her position on immigration. We don't know. The next thing is you gotta stick to a topic that's limited enough to fit into 10 to 15 pages. Occasionally I have a student who comes in and says, oh, I want to write about the Holocaust. Well, thanks. That's great. I'm looking forward to looking at your proposals, and I hope this has given you some ideas for how to write a good one.